Then a rainy Tuesday night changed everything. My sister vanished, leaving her 3-month-old baby on my doorstep with a 7-word note that shattered my world. My own parents turned their backs, telling me, "She's your burden now." But now my sister is back, with my parents at her side, suing for custody and claiming I'm the one who kept them apart. Get comfortable, because this is the story of how I fought for the daughter of my heart and discovered what family truly means. Before Lily came into my life, I had everything figured out. I had just gotten home from a 12-hour shift, kicked off my shoes, and settled on the couch with a glass of wine and takeout. The doorbell rang around 9:30. What I found changed my life forever. A car seat sat on my welcome mat, covered with a thin blanket to shield it from the rain. When I pulled back the blanket, I found a tiny baby girl, maybe 3 months old, with rosy cheeks and a wisp of dark hair, just like my sister Amanda. Tucked into the side of the car seat was a folded note in her handwriting. I immediately recognized it. Her name is Lily. I can't do this. Take care of her. I'm sorry. That was it. I looked up and down the street, but there was no sign of Amanda. I brought Lily inside, my hands shaking as I carefully picked up the car seat. She was sleeping peacefully, unaware that her mother had just abandoned her. "We told her not to have that baby," my mother said coldly. "She made her choice, and now she's running away from it. Typical Amanda. I can't just keep a baby. I don't know anything about caring for an infant." "She's your burden now," my father said firmly. "She left her with me, not you," I argued. "She's your granddaughter." "And we never asked to be grandparents," my mother replied. I sat on my couch staring at the sleeping baby, completely overwhelmed. Lily woke up soon after, her face scrunching into a hungry cry that sent me into a panic. I had nothing for a baby in my apartment. His reaction was almost as shocking as my parents'. "A baby? Your sister just dumped her kid on you? That's insane, Natalie. You need to call social services." "I can't just call social services in the middle of the night," I said. "She's my niece. Can you please just go to the 24-hour store and get some formula and diapers?" "This is not our problem," he said firmly. I carefully placed Lily back in her car seat and drove to the nearest 24-hour supermarket. I wandered the baby aisles in my scrubs from work, frantically Googling what kind of formula to buy for a 3-month-old and what size diapers she might need. That first night was a blur of crying, formula temperature checks, and diaper changes. I filed a police report that morning, but the officers weren't particularly concerned given the note. Amanda wasn't missing. She had chosen to leave. They took my information but warned me not to expect much. I also called a family lawyer who explained I would need to file for temporary guardianship, a process that would take time and money. I was furious at Amanda for putting me in this position, for abandoning her child, for disappearing without a proper explanation. But every time I looked at Lily, with her tiny fingers and trusting eyes, my anger melted into protective love. "I don't know what happened with your mom, but I'm here now. I'll figure this out. You're safe with me." I had to make serious changes to accommodate Lily in my life. My 1-bedroom apartment was too small for both of us, so I found a 2-bedroom place closer to the hospital, stretching my budget to the breaking point. The moving costs, baby furniture, and reduced work hours hit my savings hard. But I was determined to create stability for Lily. There was no time to prepare, read books, or set up a nursery. I reduced my hours to 30 per week and switched to mostly day shifts, arranging childcare with a woman named Gloria who ran a small daycare from her home. The career advancement I had been working toward was put on indefinite hold. My supervisor was understanding, but made it clear that my track to management would be delayed by my new circumstances. I spent hours filling out paperwork, meeting with court-appointed evaluators, and attending hearings. Without Amanda present to formally transfer custody, everything took twice as long as it should have. I was fingerprinted, my home was inspected, and my entire life was scrutinized to determine if I was fit to care for my own niece. While all this was happening, my relationship with Mark deteriorated rapidly. What started as reluctance to help turned into resentment about our changed relationship dynamic. We had plans, Natalie. Travel, buying a house together, building our careers. How does any of that happen now? My father rarely engaged with Lily at all, keeping his distance physically and emotionally. "If I had heard from Amanda, you would be the first to know," I would reply, knowing it was a lie. Thankfully, I found support elsewhere. My next-door neighbor, Mrs. Santiago, became a surrogate grandmother figure, offering to watch Lily when I needed to run errands and teaching me her secret technique for soothing colicky babies. Around month 3 of caring for Lily, I hired a private investigator with money I couldn't really spare. Lily's first birthday was nothing like the elaborate parties my friends threw for their children. We couldn't afford a fancy celebration, but I invited the small circle of people who had supported us through that difficult year. Mrs. Santiago made a beautiful cake, my friend from work brought balloons, and Lily smashed frosting all over her face while everyone cheered. My parents declined to attend, claiming a prior commitment. Despite all the hardship, stress, and sacrifice, I could no longer imagine my life without her. In just 1 year, this child who had arrived as a responsibility had become the center of my world. "Happy birthday, sweet girl," I whispered, kissing her forehead. "We made it through our first year together. Here's to many more." Lily started kindergarten, a milestone that filled me with equal parts pride and nostalgia for her baby days. I had transitioned to a position as a school nurse at an elementary school, different from Lily's, to maintain professional boundaries. Our apartment had become a true home, walls covered with Lily's artwork and photographs documenting our journey together. Her personality had blossomed into something remarkable, a combination of curiosity, resilience, and creativity that amazed me daily. We had our special traditions that anchored our weeks. Sunday mornings meant visits to the local park where Lily had favorite climbing structures, and I had a bench where I could watch her play while chatting with other regular parents. These simple rituals created the stability children crave, especially those who have experienced early disruption. "Where is she now?" Lily would ask, her eyes wide with innocent curiosity. "I don't know exactly," I would answer honestly. "Will she ever come back?" To help her understand different family structures, I created a storybook with pictures and simple text explaining how families come in all shapes and sizes. Some kids live with grandparents, some with 2 moms or 2 dads, some with just 1 parent, and some like Lily with an aunt who loves them more than anything in the world. "She should be in ballet by now," my mother would comment, bringing yet another tutu for a child who preferred dinosaurs and building blocks. His anger at Amanda seemed to have calcified into a general coldness toward all of us. Lily, sensitive and perceptive, would become quieter during their visits, her natural exuberance dimmed by their lack of warmth. My personal life remained largely on hold during these years. Dating as a single mother was complicated enough, but dating as someone in my unique situation seemed nearly impossible. The few men I met through friends or work who seemed promising would inevitably pull back when they understood the full picture of my commitment to Lily. I chose to focus on her needs rather than pursue relationships that might bring more instability into our lives. I took on a second job doing telehealth nursing consultations 2 evenings a week after Lily was asleep to build a college fund for her future. It meant less sleep for me and careful budgeting, but the growing savings account gave me peace of mind that I could provide long-term security for her. After years of careful saving, we took our first real vacation when Lily was 6, a trip to Disney World that she still talked about years later. Watching her face light up as she met her favorite characters made every extra shift and budgetary sacrifice worthwhile. Her kindergarten teacher noted her unusual attention to detail and drawings, and I encouraged this interest with art supplies and museum visits whenever possible. As I approached the 5-year anniversary of Lily's arrival in my life, I found myself reflecting on how completely my existence had transformed. My apartment was filled with children's books instead of novels. In a box under my bed, I kept letters I had written to Amanda over the years but never sent, having no address to send them to. Sometimes I wondered if Amanda ever thought about the daughter she had left behind, if she regretted her decision, or if she had found whatever she was looking for when she drove away that rainy night. "That's beautiful, sweetie," I said, pulling her into a hug. "Is that us?" Miss Peterson told us that some families are made from blood and some are made from heart, and heart families are just as real. "Miss Peterson is very wise," I said, blinking back tears. "We are definitely a heart family. And that's the best kind," Lily declared with the absolute certainty only a 5-year-old can possess. I hung the picture on the refrigerator alongside her other masterpieces, a visual reminder of what we had built together out of the most unexpected beginning. For more years passed in a comfortable rhythm of school years, summer breaks, holidays, and the everyday moments that form the foundation of a family life. Lily was 9, thriving in 4th grade with good friends and a passion for both art and science that kept her curious mind engaged. She had grown into a thoughtful, resilient child with my sister's artistic talent, but a steadiness of character that was entirely her own. The phone call came on an ordinary Tuesday evening, as I was helping Lily with her science project about the solar system. An unknown number flashed on my screen, which I almost ignored, assuming it was a telemarketer. My hand tightened on the phone as I stepped quickly into my bedroom, away from Lily's curious eyes. "I'm fine. I'm actually in town. I was hoping we could meet." Her voice sounded steadier than I remembered, more mature. I spent the night alternating between anxiety, anger, and a strange sense of relief that she was alive and well. Amanda was 32 now, her hair styled in a sophisticated bob instead of the wild curls of her youth. She wore a tailored blazer and carried an expensive-looking handbag. "You too," I replied, studying her face for traces of the sister I had once been close to. "You seem well." "I've been sober for 7 years now. I completed rehabilitation, got my degree in graphic design, and I'm married to a wonderful man named Thomas." After leaving Lily with me, she had spiraled further into drug addiction, living on the streets of San Diego for a time before hitting rock bottom and checking herself into rehabilitation. There she met Thomas, a counselor, and after completing her program and maintaining sobriety, they had eventually married. "I wasn't fit to be a mother then," she admitted. "When she seemed okay, I thought I could handle it, but the postpartum depression hit hard, and I went back to using." "So beautiful. And clearly happy. You've done an amazing job, Natalie." After careful consideration and consultation with the child psychologist, I arranged the first meeting between Amanda and Lily. I prepared Lily by explaining that my sister, her birth mother, had been very sick when Lily was a baby but was better now and wanted to meet her. I emphasized that nothing would change about our life together, but that Amanda might become a part of our extended family, like an aunt. Lily was uncharacteristically shy, clinging to my hand as Amanda approached with a nervous smile. Lily nodded solemnly. "But Nana is my real mom because she takes care of me and loves me and helps me with homework and makes me soup when I'm sick." Amanda's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled bravely. "That is absolutely right. You're very lucky to have such a wonderful mom." Over the following months, Amanda became a cautious presence in our lives. We established a routine of supervised visits, gradually increasing the time as Lily became more comfortable. She brought thoughtful gifts that showed she was paying attention to Lily's interests and development. She and Thomas were moving permanently to our city. She had accepted a job at a local design firm, and they had purchased a house just 20 minutes from our apartment. This could be positive for Lily, I reasoned, having her birth mother in her life in a healthy way. Thomas was charming and engaging, asking Lily about school and complimenting my cooking. Yet, something felt off about his two perfect responses and the way he watched Amanda carefully as she spoke, as if monitoring her. "We've been thinking," Amanda said, glancing at Thomas for encouragement, "that now that we're settled and financially stable, I'd like to be Lily's mother again. Legally, I mean." My fork clattered against my plate. "What exactly are you saying?" "We think it would be best for Lily to live with us," Thomas interjected smoothly. "I am her mother," I said, my voice low to avoid alerting Lily, who was showing Thomas her art supplies in the living room. "I have been her mother for 10 years while you were nowhere to be found." The conversation ended uneasily with promises to discuss it further. After they left, I sat in stunned silence, processing the threat to everything I had built with Lily. I had naively believed Amanda wanted to be a supportive presence in Lily's life, not to replace me entirely. When we arrived, Amanda and Thomas were already there, looking comfortable in my childhood home. About her recovery, her marriage, her desire to be a proper mother to Lily. "You've been in contact with her for how long?" I asked, pieces suddenly falling into place. "And now that she has," my father continued, "we think it makes sense for Lily to be with her real mother. Amanda and Thomas can provide a traditional family environment with 2 parents. You've done your part, Natalie, But it's time to do what's best for Lily. Not only had Amanda returned with the intention of taking Lily from me, but my parents had apparently been supporting this plan, maintaining contact with Amanda for years while continuing their cold, critical visits to us. "Lily, put on your coat, please." "But we haven't had dessert," Lily protested, confused by the tension she clearly sensed. But she said, "Aunt Amanda is my real mom and I should be with her." "Listen to me, Lily. You and I are a family. We have been since the day you came to me. Nothing is going to change that. I promise you." "Cross my heart," I said firmly, making the gesture that had sealed all our important promises since she was tiny. "No one is going to take you away from me." That night, after Lily finally fell asleep, I found her in the throes of a nightmare calling out, "No, no, don't take me," in her sleep. I would fight with everything I had to keep my promise to her. Amanda was petitioning for restoration of her parental rights and custody of Lily. The family court date was set for 30 days later. Biological parent, termination of guardianship, best interests of the minor child, home study, psychological evaluation. I emptied my savings account and took out a loan to pay the retainer for Julia Hernandez, an attorney specializing in family law whom a colleague had recommended. Her office was warm but professional, with children's books and toys in the corner, suggesting she understood the human stakes of her work. Biological parents have strong rights in our legal system, even ones who have been absent. 10 years is practically Lily's entire life, and judges are reluctant to disrupt a child's stable environment without compelling reasons. We developed a strategy focusing on documenting the reality of our life together. I gathered school records showing my consistent attendance at parent-teacher conferences and involvement in Lily's education. I collected medical records demonstrating my attentive care through childhood illnesses and regular checkups. I requested letters from Lily's teachers, our neighbors, and friends who could attest to the loving home we had created. My father claimed I had refused numerous requests for family visitation and deliberately kept Lily separate from family traditions and gatherings. Both portrayed Amanda as a young mother who had made a mistake and deserved a second chance with her daughter. "This is completely false," I told Julia, my hands shaking as I set down the papers. "They visited only when it suited them, showed minimal interest in Lily, and were critical of me at every turn. They knew where Amanda was for years and never told me. Now they're painting me as some kind of villain who stole her child." "Family custody battles often bring out the worst in people," Julia said gently. "The good news is that these statements can be refuted. We can document the actual frequency of their visits and communication. Do you have text messages, emails, or other records of your interactions with your parents over the years?" I did. I had never imagined they would be evidence in a custody battle. The stress began to affect Lily. Her teacher called to report that Lily had burst into tears during class when another child talked about moving to a new house. I arranged for her to see a child psychologist specializing in family transitions, trying to help her process her fears while shielding her from the worst of the legal battle. Lily exhibits significant anxiety about potential separation from her primary caregiver, the psychologist reported. I rehired the private investigator who had helped me years before, asking him to look into Amanda and Thomas's claims about their stable, perfect life. While Amanda did appear to have maintained sobriety, Thomas had a history that had not been disclosed, including a domestic violence charge from a previous relationship that had been dismissed under unclear circumstances. The discovery process of the legal case was grueling. Each demand felt like an invasion, forcing me to justify the life we had built together to strangers who knew nothing about our daily happiness. "The judge has to listen to everyone and make a decision about what is best for you," I explained, sitting with her on the edge of her bed. We kept our Friday movie nights and Sunday park visits. I helped with homework, attended her art show at school, and pretended everything was fine while my insides twisted with anxiety about our future. I mentioned it to the private investigator during one of our updates. 2 days later, he called with urgency in his voice. He arrived at my apartment with a folder of documents, waiting until Lily was engrossed in a television show before spreading them on my kitchen table. Why would they be looking for Lily's father? Amanda never even told me who he was. "Because of this," he said, pointing to another document. "The man they identified, Jason Reynolds, inherited a significant sum from his grandfather last year. We're talking multiple millions. If Amanda regains custody of Lily and establishes paternity, she could potentially claim substantial child support retroactively, plus secure future financial benefits for Lily that they would control as her guardians. Amanda's sudden interest in motherhood after 10 years of absence. The convenient redemption story. It wasn't about wanting Lily back at all. Along with evidence contradicting several claims in their court filings, Thomas's business is actually struggling, not thriving as they claimed. Their perfect house is mortgaged to the hilt. And most importantly, I have documented evidence of your parents' knowledge of Amanda's whereabouts for years, directly contradicting their sworn statements. The county courthouse was an imposing building of stone and glass, its formal atmosphere immediately intimidating. I wore my most professional outfit, a navy blue suit I had purchased specifically for this day, wanting to project stability and competence. Amanda in a conservative floral dress that suggested maternal warmth. Thomas in a tailored suit that spoke of financial success. My parents sat directly behind them. Judge Harriman, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and reading glasses perched on her nose, called the court to order. The court's primary concern is the best interest of the child, she stated firmly. We will hear testimony from all parties involved and review the evidence presented. I expect complete honesty and respect for these proceedings. Amanda testified first, telling a compelling story of youthful mistakes, hard-won sobriety, and maternal longing. She described her marriage to Thomas as loving and stable, their home as spacious and child-friendly, their finances as more than adequate to provide Lily with advantages I could never offer. She wept at appropriate moments, describing her regret at missing years of Lily's life, and her desire to make up for lost time. I made a terrible mistake when I was young and addicted, she said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. He spoke of college funds already established, family vacations planned, and his desire to be the father figure Lily had lacked. We can offer Lily stability, a traditional family environment, and opportunities that simply aren't possible in her current situation, he said confidently. While we respect what Natalie has done, we believe Lily belongs with her mother and in our home. My parents testified next, both reinforcing the narrative Amanda had constructed. Once she decided Lily was hers, she shut out the rest of the family. We tried to be involved, but she made it so difficult. My father's testimony was briefer but equally damaging. Blood is blood, he stated, echoing the sentiment from our family dinner. Their testimonies felt like physical blows, each false statement and twisted truth another wound from the people who should have supported me. Amanda's attorney, an expensive-looking man in a designer suit, then questioned me aggressively about my finances, my work schedule, and my personal life, attempting to portray me as barely managing and unable to provide the advantages Amanda and Thomas could offer. Isn't it true that you work 2 jobs to make ends meet? He asked. And you live in a 2-bedroom apartment rather than a house? The questioning continued in this vein, designed to make my loving, stable home seem inadequate compared to the materially advantaged one Amanda was offering. Lily's current and former teachers testified about her academic progress, social development, and the strong, secure attachment she clearly had to me. They described a happy, well-adjusted child who spoke of my mom, Nana, with love and trust. In my 20 years of teaching, I have rarely seen a parent as involved and attentive as Natalie, her current teacher stated firmly. These are all signs of a child who feels secure and loved. The school counselor, who had been working with Lily since the custody issue arose, provided professional testimony about the potential psychological impact of removing Lily from the only stable home she had ever known. I described our daily routines, our traditions, our support network of friends and chosen family. I explained how I had always kept the door open for Amanda to be part of Lily's life, saving mementos and speaking of her birth mother in positive terms despite her absence. I have loved Lily as my own from the moment she came into my life, I concluded, my voice steady despite the emotion behind my words. Not because she is my biological child, but because she is my child in every way that matters. I am not perfect, and I cannot offer her the material advantages that Amanda and Thomas claim they can. Then came the moment we had prepared for. Julia presented the sealed folder of evidence to the judge, requesting it be entered into the record. She looked up sharply, first at Amanda and Thomas, then at my parents. After a brief, intense discussion with the attorneys, she turned to Amanda. "Ms. Morgan, are you aware of the contents of this folder?" My father shifted uncomfortably in his seat. My mother stared at her hands. My father cleared his throat. "We were trying to protect her privacy during her recovery, Your Honor. Perjury is a serious offense," the judge reminded them before turning to Amanda. "And did he mention the inheritance?" the judge pressed. "Not specifically," Amanda said, but her avoidant gaze suggested otherwise. "Mr. Richards, I suggest you confer with your attorney before speaking further," Judge Harmon advised. "The evidence suggests potential legal issues beyond the scope of this custody hearing." Judge Harmon called a brief recess to review the evidence more thoroughly, leaving both parties to sit in tense silence. When court resumed, the judge's expression was grave. "Having reviewed the evidence and testimony presented today, I find several disturbing elements in the petitioner's case. What appears on the surface to be a mother seeking to reunite with her child seems, upon closer examination, to be motivated, at least in part, by financial considerations related to the biological father's recent inheritance." She continued, addressing Amanda directly. "Ms. Morgan, while I believe you may have genuine feelings for your daughter, the timing and circumstances of your petition raise significant concerns about your motivations and judgment. The evidence suggests you have misrepresented several key facts to this court." With a final look at her notes, Judge Harmon delivered her ruling. "It is the finding of this court that the best interests of the minor child, Lily Morgan, are served by maintaining her current living situation with her aunt and legal guardian, Natalie Parker. The petition for change of custody is denied." The relief that flooded through me was so intense I nearly collapsed in my chair. "Mr. and Mrs. Parker," she added, looking sternly at my parents, "the court takes note of your apparent willingness to provide misleading testimony in this case. You are admonished that such behavior undermines the legal process designed to protect children like your granddaughter. We had one. I never wanted to hurt her," she said softly. "Or you. It just got complicated." She nodded, looking down. "I know," Thomas thought. "It doesn't matter what he thought. I should have known better." I simply nodded, unwilling to absolve her in that moment, and walked out of the courtroom toward the sunlight and the freedom to continue being Lily's mother without the shadow of uncertainty hanging over us. The moment I picked up Lily from her art teacher's house was one I will never forget. She ran to me, scanning my face anxiously for clues about the outcome. I knelt down to her level, taking both her hands in mine. "Yes, sweetheart. The judge said you stay with me. We are still a family, just like always." As Lily chatted excitedly about an art project she had worked on during the day, I marveled at her resilience and her capacity for joy despite the uncertainty she had been living with. The aftermath of the court case required careful navigation of new boundaries with my family. If you want to be part of Lily's life going forward, there will be new rules. Supervised visits only, no undermining my parenting, no private conversations with Amanda about Lily, and absolutely no more lies. The judge's ruling had given me the confidence to set the boundaries that should have been in place years ago. My parents eventually agreed, though with poor grace, to the new arrangement. Through play therapy and art therapy, she began to express the anxiety and confusion that had been building for months. "Sometimes I feel like I have two moms but also no mom," she confided during one session I was invited to join. "Amanda is my birth mom, but she didn't want me. You want me, but Amanda says you're not my real mom. It's confusing. But what matters most is who loves you and takes care of you every day. She's my real mom because she chose me and stayed with me." With the custody issue resolved, I was able to focus on professional advancement again. She finally offered the apology I hadn't realized I was waiting for. "Not just about the custody case, but about everything. You are a better mother to Lily than I could ever have been, even if I had been healthy from the beginning. You two have something special, something real. I thought biology trumped everything, but watching you together these past months has shown me what true parenting looks like. I want you to know I've ended things with Thomas," she continued. "After everything came out in court about his motives, I couldn't trust him anymore. I'm focusing on my sobriety and my career, and on building a healthy relationship with Lily as her birth mother. not trying to replace you. This shift in Amanda's perspective allowed us to gradually establish a more cooperative relationship for Lily's benefit. Lily continued to thrive as she grew, her natural resilience helping her integrate the complicated reality of her family situation into a coherent narrative. She developed an interest in psychology, perhaps influenced by her own therapy experience, and began talking about maybe becoming a counselor someday to help other kids with confusing families. Inside, she had written, "To my mom, who chose me every day for 11 years. Biology makes relatives, but love makes families. Thank you for being my real mom." Looking back on our journey, from that rainy night when a 3-month-old baby appeared on my doorstep to the confident 11-year-old standing before me, I realized that the unexpected detour my life had taken had led me to exactly where I was meant to be. I had not planned to become a mother at 24, certainly not to my sister's abandoned child, but that unplanned beginning had given me the greatest gift of my life. Family wasn't just who you were born to, but who you chose to love and who chose to love you back, day after day through challenges and joys alike. As Lily and I sat on our small balcony that evening, watching the sunset and talking about her dreams for the coming year, I felt a sense of peace that had been missing during the turmoil of the custody battle. She nodded, leaning her head against my shoulder. Years flew by, painted in the vibrant colors of Lily's childhood and the quiet, steady rhythm of our life together. Lily blossomed into a remarkable young woman, her artistic talent matched only by her empathy and wit. My relationship with Amanda found a new, quiet normal. She remained a part of Lily's life, an aunt who sent birthday cards and came for occasional holiday dinners, the awkwardness of the past replaced by a shared, unspoken understanding. She found her own path, dedicated to her art and her sobriety, and I was genuinely happy for her. My parents in their later years finally began to understand. The regret in their eyes was a language I had waited a lifetime to hear. They started showing up, not with criticism, but with quiet offerings of help and genuine questions about Lily's life, slowly mending the bridge they had burned so long ago. One sunny afternoon, I stood with the 22-year-old Lily on the steps of her college campus. She had just accepted her diploma in social work, her dream of helping children with complicated families now a reality. She turned to me, her eyes bright with the future. But I was wrong. My story started the moment you opened the door. In that moment, holding my daughter, my everything, I knew that the perfect timeline I had once imagined for myself was nothing compared to the beautiful, messy, extraordinary life we had built. What has your experience been with family that extends beyond blood relationships? Have you ever had someone in your life who became family through love and choice rather than biology? If this journey of unexpected motherhood touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about the true meaning of family. And remember to share this with someone who might need to be reminded that the most beautiful families are the ones we build ourselves, one day of love at a time. Thank you for listening.